Welcome one more day to Space and Harmony, and today I'm going to explore the subject of spiritual karmic implants, the need to repair, to perform tikkun concerning debts that we have inherited from our cosmic parents and our biological parents as well, and other species, because we are complex beings. And before going into that, I announced that I wrote down the transcription of the previous video and expanded it, and I will leave it in the blog so you can have more details concerning the physical, psychological and spiritual implants. And today we are going to see even more details. And remember, also, this is a bilingual channel. I publish videos in Spanish and English, and the videos in Spanish come first. Now, to introduce the subject of today, we have to keep in mind that the so-called cosmic soul of humanity, known as Adam or Atman in other traditions, somehow descended and got trapped into the physical experience in different species, and this took place around 6,000 years ago, according to Hebrew tradition and other traditions. And this was because the feminine side of the cosmic soul became identified with the energy of the serpent, which somehow runs the physical domain. The feminine side of the cosmic soul was known as Hava in Hebrew, Hiva in Sanskrit. Actually, the beautiful story of India tells that there were two birds perched on the same tree. One was the Atman and the other was Hiva. And they were very much in love. However, the Hiva was so much attracted by the fruit of the tree that forgot about her lover, Atman, and she lost the track of Atman. And that's how the story of fallen humanity began. There is a spiritual, invisible part, invisible consciousness, which we can call the missing Adam, the masculine side, and then a more psychological feminine side, which is trapped within several species, not only human species, because the cosmic soul fell into different biological vessels, some of which were animals. Therefore, the spiritual evolution of humanity is very much connected to the evolution of some animal species. I would say the entire animal manifestation, but especially some species which contain also fragments of the original Adam, even though they are in a very low state of evolution. I'm not saying human beings are much more evolved than animals, but the evolution of animals depends on the evolution of humanity. Now, we also have to understand that in the beginning the soul fragments were so large that the intelligences, the Adamic intelligences, could not manage so much energy, and therefore they had to subdivide in groups. That was the origin of soul families and twin souls, sister souls, and so on. And they began a process of returning, reincarnation, some say. However, this process of reincarnation, return, has not worked because souls repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Therefore, another way of reintegrating the soul of humanity and the soul of Adam into the tree of life was needed. And that was the universal cosmic soul, the divine soul, which is known as Messiah in Hebrew, and it has a salvific function, and it must be seen as an additional soul that is somehow attached to us. It grows within, and it has to be born, reintegrating the experiences of human life and animal life as well into the original tree of life, the original reality where there is no division, no war, no death, no depths, no reincarnation. That belongs to the fallen world. Therefore, there is no point in focusing on the idea of paying debts by means of returning, as some religions do and many spiritual systems, including Kabbalah. They speak of the Messiah, but they want to make it compatible with reincarnation, and that's not entirely possible, because the function of the Messiah is to end up reincarnation. Obviously, not everyone has the same level of evolution. We are very complex beings. In the previous video I already told you about memories I have of being born as a soul of light within a space, infinite space of light. And obviously this must have taken place in stages of evolution of my own soul, in which it was born from the Divine Spirit. As the Master said, if you are not born from the water, from the cleansing of consciousness and the Spirit, the Divine Spirit, you shall not enter the kingdom of God, the Malkut, the foundation of the tree of life. And this has to take place at some moment of evolution. And I'm convinced that that's a phase that my soul started to live, even though the process is not complete yet. I'm not fully born from the Spirit. I'm in the process, in the pains of labor. And I also have very strange memories, which I attribute to fragments of Adamic soul that are incorporated into my soul imprint, so to say. And these are memories that come from the ancient past. For a very long time I didn't know what they were. In one of them I find myself living within some sort of aquatic creature, together with other creatures of my own species, and we are in a sort of little lake within a grotto or cave, but we have a collective psyche and are very much aware of the outside world, and we want to evolve, to come forth out of the cave, so to say. This is a memory which accompanies me since I am a kid. And I also have memories in which I see planets from the outside, even spaceships. And I don't think these memories come from our culture. They are not false memories, because some of them are too wonderful and full of details that are not found in our culture. I know many of the things we are told are a lie because they do not match my memories. And I'm convinced those soul fragments or soul memories are being somehow incorporated into my soul journey. And my mission is to reintegrate all that into the tree of life. And each one of those who are in the journey has the same mission. Therefore, we have to face a karmic baggage that comes from very ancient times, even from a time previous to the fall of Adam. Let's remember that before Adam fell, there were worlds that were destroyed because of the rebellion of different astral species. I came to the conclusion that one of these species was known as the carrier of light, Lucifer, and they developed a very technological world, and they could shape physical reality in a way which is inconceivable to us, because they belong to an astral realm and have access to energies which are completely unknown to modern humanity. And these beings somehow mix up with humanity, because they were put together in the so-called Garden of Eden. Therefore, the Adamic species that existed in several star systems started to interact with Luciferian, natured Luciferian species, and eventually both genetics mix up. I don't think that's the fault of Adam. That was rather a result of the configurations made by demiurgic intelligences, the Lord God, the existential verb, which somehow designed a way to reintegrate the fallen chaos into the tree of life, but it didn't work. And in principle, the demiurgic intelligences should represent or be in tune with the primordial being, but as they get disconnected, they become an existential verb, and therefore an expression of the tree of knowledge of good and bad. That's why they can be regarded as the police of this physical world, and they are adversaries of Luciferian intelligences as well. Actually, I came to the conclusion that when Luciferian beings cause destruction in different star systems, they somehow were chased or exiled to systems like ours, and our planet has become a prison for them. I don't know if there are more planets in which these species have been jailed, so to say, or exiled, but the Earth definitely is a place where they were confined. The demiurge doesn't let those beings out. We find these ideas even in the book of Revelation, when Michael and his angels chased the dragon and threw him into the earth. Anyway, we have to keep in mind Luciferian intelligences are the real enemy of humanity, and humanity has become somehow Luciferian because human beings inherited those astral impulses, and humans worship technology. Some even worship Luciferian entities which are invisible, and they are the rulers of society. Therefore, let's keep in mind that one of the karmic baggages come from this species. Remember Isaiah 14, where Hillel ben Shahar, the carrier of light, becomes like one of us, like a human, so to say, or like an inhabitant of the earth, but imprisoned in the Sheol, the underworld. And it's imprisoned also in human bodies because the seed of the serpent mixed up with Adam. And we inherited the 5 prides of Lucifer, which are: I shall ascend to heaven, exalting my throne, becoming king. I will sit in the mount of the assembly, usurping the function of Adamic species. I shall go above the stars of heaven, that is, above the angels, even above demiurgic intelligences. I shall reach up to the clouds, developing technologies that can conquer the space. And I will be like the Most High, that is to say, become like a god. Those are the 5 prides which are also in humanity. Actually, if you notice, many human beings are obsessed with technology. They want to conquer Mars, go back to Mars, because Adamic species were also inhabiting Mars long ago, together with Luciferian species. Some even came to say that Adam was Lucifer himself. But there are indications that those genetics existed before what we know as the formation of the soul of Adam. Not the primordial humanity, not the primordial Adam, which is our real genetics, our real being, which comes from the tree of life. And that's what we have to develop, cancelling the prides of Luciferian species. Now, we also inherited baggage from the animal world. Some humans carry in themselves fragments of souls that have been existing in other animals. And this takes place in the formation of the nefesh, the vital soul. When the parents join in the sexual act, their souls, their vital souls, also mix up, and they generate a third soul which connects to the embryo of the baby, and this starts growing, shaping the fetus, and therefore the human being inherits a soul which is the combination of the soul of the parents, and this carries baggage from the parents and from the ancestors of the parents. So there we have another karmic baggage. And later on, there can also be a soul coming from an animal, for instance, or another human being, another vital soul which mix up with that soul inherited from the parents. And all that starts to form what we know as the human soul. But later on, when the child grows, there can be other attachments, soul fragments that incorporate into the soul in order to help the soul, the human soul, evolve and evolve themselves. As I already explained in another video, that's known as ivur, the attachment of a soul. And in principle, this is a sort of vertical reincarnation, which is different to the horizontal reincarnation. The soul that comes from a rather earthly level. The ivur is rather the attachment of a more evolved soul, a more emotionally evolved or mentally evolved, which somehow helps the soul to evolve. But I also suggest the divine soul can also be seen as a sort of ivur, because it gets attached, but it's not connected in the same way, because the function is not to perform tikkun, not to repair, because in the divine soul nothing has to be repaired. In any case, the old soul fragments have to be incorporated into the divine soul. They have to be purified, but that's not a repair performed by the old fragments of the soul. That's the old soul paradigm, which didn't work because it's very slow and a very dangerous process. Some people claim to have star seeds because they receive a soul from the stars, but these souls are in trouble as well because they belong to the emotional cosmic body of Adam, which also fell, or at least remains on a level which is not the level of the divine soul. Star seeds develop tremendous civilizations on the earth: Atlantis, Egypt, Babylon, and we all know what happened to those civilizations. They were destroyed because the star seeds belong to the stars, not to the absolute sun or the absolute realm where everything is perfect. Therefore, we cannot rely on the star seed even if we have one inside. As I said, I have memories of planets and spaceships. Maybe that's a star seed which is in myself. We are very complex beings, a combination of different soul fragments, but our true self, our true divine guide, must be the divine soul. Therefore, we have to separate ourselves from all those soul fragments which carry karmic baggage and memories, and somehow reintegrate that into our true divine soul. We can even see the inheritance of the baggage in our birth date. The day marks what we receive from the mother, the year marks what we receive from the father, the month marks our lunar influence, which somehow determines our psychological personal ego. In my case it's Aquarius, so I have to be very careful with becoming proud about knowing more than others. Aquarius is I know. So these are karmic baggage which we have to harmonize or illumine so that it doesn't control us. And there is a very interesting way of examining all this. I'm going to give you 10 portals of karmic baggage that are very useful to identify in which stage we are or what kind of task we have. We can take as a reference the 10 spheres of the tree of knowledge of good and bad, because our fallen personality is run by those spheres. In the tree of life there are 13, because the original will, the original primordial purpose, and the original primordial conscience is absent in the tree of knowledge. Therefore, when we are living a human experience, we miss the crown of life in many cases. This is the first portal, which is the portal of unconditional love. We are not inclined to love unconditionally, at least in our society. And depending on the person, the portal of unconditional love is more or less blocked. Some people are more prone than others to love unconditionally.